the same.
Right.
Right? They're just not. Right? Scottie Pippen rings, those 6, they're not the same as Michael Jordan's.
Right.
They're not the same as LeBron James.
But they're pretty good.
But they're good. They're good. If there's some sidekick rings, if there's some sidekick rings,
I think Scotty's rings are just the same as Michael Jordan's. Why not?
Because he won the best player on the team.
Yeah, but he was the most impactful player on the team.
I get it.
What do you mean he wasn't?
Listen, I get it.
If you unplug Scottie Pippen off that team,
sure.
Jordan's 0 for 6.
Sure,
could be.
Who knows? But
Then
if you
could be.
But if you replace
Scotty,
but replace Scottie Pippen with another All-Star. No one does it without another All-Star.
No,
replace him with another All-Star. He's going to win more than one.
You can replace him with another All-Star, but just because it's an All-Star don't mean it's Scottie Pippen.
No question. I'm not saying 6. I'm saying, but you're going to win some.
How many All-Stars are going to be willing to take a back seat knowing
100% of every All-Star who ever lived?
That's not true.
If you're playing with Jordan, you got no choice.
No, that's not true because, again, this is where you got to really dive into the type of player. You're talking about just All-Star. Okay, remove that, All-Star. But you're talking about a guy that's 6'9", that plays both sides of the ball, that is 6'7", whatever. He got a 7'3" wingspan, right? He can initiate the offense.
Rich Paul, as of lately, has had a bad case of diarrhea of the mouth, spewing forth some of the stupidest, uninformed, bird brain piles of horseshit in all of sports media. But it is this take that Scottie Pippen was the most impactful player on the Bulls' 6-ring run that is absolutely preposterous. He's lucky I wasn't in the room with him that day because I would have had to have put hands on this nigga. I would have had to slap the teeth out his mouth. But since I wasn't in the room that day, I'm gonna have to do something just as impactful by debunking everything this ass clown said, starting with this. Michael Jordan was not only the most impactful player on the Bulls championship run, Michael Jordan was the most impactful player from any sport the world has ever seen. Let me allow Stephen A. to elaborate.
Do you know how massive Michael Jordan's impact was when he retired? When he announced his retirement at just 30 years old, the Dow Jones dropped 125 points in a single day. Nike stock plunged 4% overnight, and global sales fell by 30%, causing losses that were almost impossible to calculate. During that same period, Adidas actually surpassed Nike. In Chicago alone, Jordan's retirement caused an estimated $1 billion economic loss. And remember, this was in the 1990s. The NBA itself went into total chaos. Fans around the world weren't just watching basketball, they were watching Michael Jordan. He didn't just play the game, he grew the game. He touched every basketball court on the planet. People simply couldn't accept a league without him. To try and bring him back, the NBA even produced a documentary. During the broadcast, Magic Johnson got down on his knees and begged Jordan to return. Owners and players across the league made public pleas for him to come back. 2 years later, when Jordan uttered those famous 2 words, "I'm back," the entire country went into absolute frenzy. Even the President of the United States welcomed him back, saying Jordan had helped America feel alive again. Chicago Bulls tickets became impossible to get. His new hash 45 jersey sold out instantly. The NBA was back on track. And then Jordan went on to win his second three-peat. The man who changed everything was Michael Jordan. So let me ask you this. Is there anyone else in the world with that kind of influence?
Now let's dig deeper into Rich Paul's impact claims. As you can see, here are the stat comparisons in the finals. If I were to do a blind comparison test and ask you, does player 1 on the left or player 2 on the right, based off these numbers, which of the two is the more impactful player? And most logical thinking people would pick the one on the left. So let me get this right, Rich Paul. Michael Jordan, who scored twice as many points as Pippen while facing triple and double teams, dished out more assists, had a higher field goal percentage, higher three-point percentage, higher free throw percentage, had the highest plus minus of all time, and played more minutes per game than Pippen, was somehow less impactful? Rich Paul. Yo, man, you stupid.
Stupid. I'm not going to let you get the chance.
The math ain't mathing, bro. And to add insult to injury, Did you guys know that 10 out of the 13 years that Mike and Pip played together, Pippen actually got paid more than Mike? Rich Paul, I have a question. If you can say that Pippen was more impactful than Jordan, can't we say the same thing about your GOAT, LeBron James and Dwayne Wade? In the Heat's first finals with the Mavs, Dwayne Wade was clearly the most impactful player on that team, averaging 26, 7, and 5 versus LeBron James's measly 17, 7, and 7. And even though in their 23 finals games together, LeBron James has better numbers than Dwayne Wade, using your line of thinking, Rich Paul, couldn't someone say that Dwayne Wade was more impactful than LeBron? How about Kyrie Irving? In the Cavs' 2016 win, even though LeBron had better numbers, by Rich Paul's logic, someone could say Kyrie Irving had a bigger impact. Or how about Anthony Davis in the 2020 finals? Man, look at these numbers, bro. Bruh. The fact that Rich Paul could fix his mouth to say something so stupid.
Stupid. I'm not gonna let you get the chance.
When his man's done been on teams with more superheroes than Captain America is crazy. Max Kellerman, once again, proving himself to be the smartest person in that room. When Rich Paul says, take Pippen off that team, and Jordan is 0 for 6. Max Kellerman says, well, replace Scottie Pippen with an all-star, and Mike would be just fine. Rich Paul argues, no other all-star in Jordan's era is Scottie Pippen, so you can't replace Pippen with an all-star and have the same success. It's clear that Rich Paul thinks very, very highly of Scottie Pippen. So, let's take 5 all-star forwards from the 90s and put them on that Bulls team, replace Scottie Pippen, and see if you think, like I think, the Bulls would win 6 championships. Number 1, Charles freaking Barkley. I got them winning 8 championships in a row. I think Mike doesn't retire the first time. Part of the reason Mike retired the first time was he said he was exhausted. And we can see why, from carrying the Bulls on his back for 3 straight championships. With Chuck by his side, one of his best friends at the time, he would undoubtedly win at least 8 straight championships. Number 2, Grant Hill, who averaged 22, 8, and 6 with the Pistons, was better than Pippen's 17, 7, and 5 with the Bulls. I got the Bulls winning 6 championships if you replace Pippen with Hill. How about number 3 Dominique Wilkins, who averaged 25, 7, and 2 with Atlanta, is better again than Pippen's 17, 7, and 5 with the Bulls. I got the Bulls winning 6 championships. What about Karl Malone at number 4? The mailman averaged 25, 10, and 3. On the same team with Mike, my God, I got the Bulls winning 8 straight championships. Number 5, the last Penny Hardaway, who averaged 19, 6, and 5 when he was with the Magic. Almost the same numbers as Pippen, slightly better than Pippen's 17, 7, and 5. I got the Bulls winning 6 championships. It's clear that Rich Paul doesn't know dick about basketball and must have been watching Michael B. Jordan in Creed 1, 2, and 3 and not Michael Jeffrey Jordan in 1 through 6. Put any of these guys on that Bulls team and the minimum amount of championships they are winning is 6. Rich Paul then asks how many All-Stars would be willing to take a backseat to Michael Jordan. Max Kellerman correctly says, every All-Star that ever lived. Rich Paul, have you ever heard of the Dream Team? Do you know who is on that Dream Team, Rich Paul? Do you know who they were willing to take a backseat to, Rich Paul? How about the All-Star Game in the 90s, back when the All-Star Game was must-see TV and players played to show who the best was in the world? Do you know how many All-Stars there were, Rich Paul? Do you know who all of those All-Stars were willing to take a backseat to in the All-Star Game, Rich Paul? Rich Paul, Rich Paul. You keep Jordan's name in your mouth. while MJ is somewhere smoking on a Cuban like.
I don't even know who you are.
Now, let's do the reverse. Take Jordan off that team. How many rings do they win? You can replace Mike with any player you want. Put him on that Bulls team. Do you think the Bulls go 6-0, Rich Paul? And now, especially that Jordan isn't on this team, you got to face Jordan now. Imagine Jordan being on that Suns team with Charles Barkley, Kevin Johnson, and Dan Marley. Or imagine Jordan being on that Jazz team with Karl Malone, John Stockton, and Jeff Hornacek. Imagine Michael Jordan being on the same team with Shaq and Penny. Rich Paul, you and your man's LeBron James, you guys should be glad that we don't live in a timeline where Michael Jordan is on a team with Charles Barkley, Karl Malone, or Shaquille O'Neal, because we'd be talking about Jordan being 10-0 in the finals instead of 6-0 in the finals. You need to chill, bro. You need to chill. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for me. Until next time, thank you for watching.